The heart of the church, I still believe in. The value system of the church, I still believe in. I love our devotion to the Eucharist and the way we do it. I also love and appreciate our connections with the saints.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Catholics in Ordinary Time. We have a great episode this week. I get to sit down and have a conversation with one of my favorite people in the world, Tiffany Yvonne Cox, who is an actor and a director and a writer. She works out of Los Angeles, where she lives with her husband and a couple little boys. But she also works all over the U.S. And this interview is interesting because, first of all, she's great to talk to. But she also is one of those Catholics that's trying to live in the church when she has some reservations about parts of the church. And how does she make that work? I think you're going to enjoy this episode. I know I did. So welcome. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm blessed. I will be honest, I'm a little overwhelmed. I'll start, for those who are listening, I'm an actor. And so I start filming season 3 of Reasonable Doubt next week. So we just finished the deal, and it's like just flights will be coming in and fittings. And so it's been a world of my own personal projects, trying to get them into a good, pause of a space. Mm-hmm. And then also prepping my family and getting them into a good space for while I'm gone. Mm. And then also seeing friends as much as possible. So basically I've said yes one too many times. So I'm feeling the effects of it right now.
I hear you. I'm always just, the line that I shouldn't have crossed is always in the rearview mirror of oh no, why did I say this? When I put it on the calendar, I had nothing else. I was like, oh, sure. Yeah. Then,
right.
Then there's a problem.
Exactly.
Then there's
exactly. A problem. But it's okay. These are champagne problems.
Oh, right.
Right. I'm so blessed to have enough family and friends and projects that I love and that love me so that my life is full.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic to hear. So do you want to, let's just start with, how do you practice your faith? How would you describe your faith? And is it what you were raised in, and you kind of from your parents, or something you kind of developed, or a little bit of both?
Right. So with my faith, and I'm Catholic, I think ingrained into, for better or for worse, is that Sunday obligation. So always, just about every Sunday, and I have 2 boys as well, so they come with me to church. They were baptized in the church as well, and Father Jack and I were there at the same time. So that is core. That is always there. But what grew for me actually was when I decided to step away from the church and find, what is my relationship with the Lord? What is the religion that I need? I'm very liberal. And as we know, that's not necessarily Catholicism. So I was searching for my space. And when I was searching for my space, that's where my faith got even deeper, because then I was reading books. I was looking at podcasts. I was looking at other religions. And so now I would say my practice includes daily. I have a friend, Priscilla. She's my spiritual accountability partner. This is something that she had practiced years before. And I was like, girl, what is this? We were new moms in the pandemic trying to just live, survive day to day. And she was like, well, I would just we would choose something and talk about it every day. And it would be really quick. And so literally every day, Monday through Friday, I should say, we either read something, listen to something. It's Lent. So we went through variations of trying to find a Lenten devotional, but there's not many audio, which we both need right now. But then we reflect on it and how it affects us. And also, how are we going to use this piece of information? For example, today we were listening to Erwin McManus, who is at Mosaic, and he was talking about humanity and how the reflection of humans is God. And so I wrote in my journal of I can get a little prickly sometimes. It's just who I am. I stand up for people who are unspoken, but how can I be kinder in those moments when I'm standing up for myself or somebody else? So I feel like that's where my world has been living. I'm in, and then as well, whenever I see something that's needed, it happens. When I'm currently at Blessed Sacrament Catholic Church, I'm going to have 2 wonderful boys, but they're 2 and 4 years old. They can't sit through Mass. So thank goodness I got to talking to Father Jack, and I was like, hey, can I build out an infant toddler room? And he said, yes, go for it. So that was just one little project that I did. Or right now I'm building out a Black ministry at Blessed Sacrament. We're also working on an entertainment ministry starting this Sunday at Blessed Sacrament. So I dibble and dabble in these spaces. And then also outside of the religion with a spiritual accountability partner. And then as well, I'm part of a group called Creative Faith that meets once a month. And it's artists out here in Los Angeles, that's where I live, where we get to focus on our faith, but also support one another through this journey of being artists in a highly concentrated space. And that's also turned into Monday 7 a.m. calls where we do a worship call and check in with people, pray for people. So as I'm saying all this, it's quite robust right now.
Yeah.
I think at least the things that fill me. But I mean, shoot, I do all things through Christ, right? Everything's through God. That's the whole reason why we're here.
Yeah.
So why not my life be majorly full in that way?
Yeah. No, that's really consoling to hear that your life's going that way, not just because you're someone I admire and like and want the best for, but just that, people continue to widely have and take this opportunity, because to really use the resources that are around. So that's fantastic. Can you tell the story about what happened when you stepped away, and why did you step away? And, at what age were you? What was happening?
Right. I've stepped away twice. So when I was very young, I just didn't understand why I was going to church. I was going via routine. That's kind of like that I had noted before, going via rote. So I was like, what is this doing for me? I'm not really listening. I'm not a part of the parish. So I stopped going.
What age were you at that time?
I want to say I was like early 20s or so. You aging me right now, man. So
so a couple years ago. Perfect.
Just a few years ago.
Yeah.
So somewhere in my early 20s, and then a friend of mine had the worst prognosis you could ever desire. And I didn't know what else to do but to go to church. And as we know in our Catholic faith, we hold hands during the Our Father. And I just thought to myself, I'm holding somebody's hand I don't know, but she has no idea how much I need this right now as I pray and grieve for my friend. So that brought me back. But then I still found I was just kind of still going by rote, but I was listening, but also I would attend with a friend. And there was like somebody from the theater that went. So it became a little bit more of a community and people were checking for me, looking for me. And I also really liked this particular church that was in Andersonville in Chicago, where I was living at the time. Then I'm trying to remember, it was somewhere. I think it was when we found out that one of the popes knew about the sexual assaults that were happening and how it was covered up. And that's when I left.
You're like, I'm out.
And so, I was like, I'm out. What in the world? I was like, this is finding out that your favorite uncle has been hurting people or covering things up for forever. What am I doing supporting a religion like that? And then as well, like I said, I'm very liberal. I am pro-choice. I'm a huge ally of the LGBTQIA plus community. And I believe that women deserve higher up positions in the church. So all of those things were pushing me away from Catholicism, especially when I saw that there were other options of Christianity out there. So, and then it was a call there was a gentleman named Scott who told Father Jack about me. And I hadn't been to Blessed Sacrament. I think Scott didn't realize, but I hadn't been there for, it had to be at least like 8 months or so. Like it was a good amount of time that I took a break as I was like looking at other things. But he remembered me, so you never know when people raising your names in rooms, right? And so I had a coffee with Father Jack here, and it was the thing that Father Jack said. He was like, we need change in the church. We need people who have different opinions in the church. And he said, change ain't happening in Idaho. If there's going to be change in the church, it's going to happen here in Hollywood. And that I was like, well, that's literally divinely ordered words that just came to be. So that's when I came back to the church. And also I came to realize I'm not the only person here who is pro-choice for our LGBTQIA plus community, who believes that women should have a larger position. I'm not the only one who believes that. And also when it comes to the religions, they got their own skeletons in the closet as well. So I was like, when it comes to, being at Blessed Sacrament in particular, I have not been to a more open and supportive church of those who have a liberal voice. I just have not seen that. The fact that they participate in Pride. Like Father Jack had a booth when he was there. The year before that, the Pride Parade passes by Blessed Sacrament. So we were standing out there with signs saying, "You are loved. You belong here." They have an out ministry as well. When the federal bans of reversing Roe versus Wade happened, Father Jack emailed me and said, "Tiffany, are you okay? Knowing good and well how I feel about this." And also, there was nothing that was glaring within our church saying pro life, and all that, which I just don't believe in. I literally just stepped away from a Lenten devotional because twice over, two of the white male leaders were pushing that as well as Trump. And I was like, well, nope. And I know you're Catholic, but it's not my form of belief system.
Mhm.
So, but recognizing that the heart of the church I still believe in, the value system of the church I still believe in. I love our devotion to the Eucharist and the way we do it. I also love our and appreciate our connections with the saints. As I've explained to other people, I'm like, it's our angels, you know? I was like, think about it. I was like, you pray to your auntie, don't you? Like when you're going through something, like, auntie, look down on me. I was like, we do the same thing with the saints. You know, it's the same exact thing. So those pieces of it, and then being in a liberal church like Blessed Sacrament is what brought me back to Catholicism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good to hear, because when a person that has progressive views looks for a parish that's progressive, it's, I mean, yes, that's the dynamic. But the crazy thing is that we are what we're looking for as well. I mean, we change the face of that church by showing up, and you get to add to it, and that's comfortable. It's certainly more comfortable than thinking, well, I guess I'm out here and I have to be the progressive voice. That makes it for a long day. It's for a long day, even though it's sure as admirable, but it makes for a long day to be the only voice. Yeah. No, that's really great to hear. Do you feel comfortable enough when you're in church, weekend to weekend, to invite other people to come with you?
I do, and I've done it in different capacities where I'm always open. So, and especially with like some of my friends who grew up Catholic and then stepped away,
Mhm.
I'm one to like share like what Blessed Sacrament is like. And my invitation is always, hey, if you're ever feeling like going, come sit with my two loud baby boys. You're going to have some fun. And so, yeah, I do. I feel very comfortable inviting people to church. And also during this Lenten season, that's been the ask also from Father Paul, who's now
Mm.
there. Like, hey, and can we invite people into the church? This is also part of the Black ministry. I was like, we got all these Black folks up in here. People need to know that, like, I'm Trinidadian. So Catholicism who are Black is normal in my world, where Trinidad, the majority of people are Catholics. So therefore, when you come to America, there's many, many others. I think sometimes people just don't recognize or know. So how beautiful would it be for me to stand up at the pulpit and say, hey, we're starting a Black ministry. Please come to our potluck and just learn more about what this can be for us.
Mhm.
Yes, I feel very comfortable. And as Father Jack knows too, I'll like just go up to somebody and say, hey, I've seen you a couple of times. Who are you? Can we have like just a quick 15-minute chat?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And not everybody has that gift, and how great that you're using that
Yeah.
one. Yeah. How is the experience? You're in a progressive church and you're looking to start a Black ministry. Tell
Mhm.
me, well, what is it? What is it like to be a Black woman in a church that is like, well, there's a lot of white people here.
Mhm.
How is that? How is
It's like
that?
being in America.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
another piece
yeah.
of. Yeah.
Yeah, it's another piece of it. Exactly. It's diversity and the global I'm part of the global majority.
Mhm.
But what do you tend to see is white people, Filipino, Latinx, we'll see the variety and then a sprinkle of Black folks in between. So it's been my whole life. So it wasn't not normal
Mhm.
until I attended a Black church in, I want to say, North Carolina. And that was out of this world. The celebration of culture, the songs that they have from their spaces and places. Also, just the way that Black folks celebrate together,
Mhm.
whether it be music or food, and how we relate, and how we really get to know one another. There's no world in which you step out into the pew and you're not speaking to somebody or somebody saying hello to you. Or for those of you who know, the Black person nod. If you see a Black person, you nod and you acknowledge their existence. You don't get that in white spaces. It's not the same thing. So some of those things are lacking, but it was such my normal where this is all I've known since I've
Mm-hmm.
been little, of being one of the few in a white space.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it hasn't felt jarring in any way.
Hmm. Yeah. Before I joined the Jesuits, the parish that I was part of that was helpful in my going in that direction to become a Jesuit was
Mhm.
staffed by a couple of Jesuit priests, but it was led by a woman, a parish life director model in Seattle, and but it was also a historically Black parish. So
Mm.
this was this mix of a Black priest, a white parish life director, a Black congregation, and I was like, it was so novel to me to be there in white Seattle, but in a historic Black neighborhood, and just all those different layers. It was just a lot. I loved it because it was so interesting and so differently textured than I was used to. Yeah. And I was just
I
always like,
can
oh,
imagine
what's
that.
that experience? And all kinds of awkward seeming sort of white guys in the Black choir, and and you're like, okay, great.
Yeah.
But like, on their own journeys, and it's like, oh, okay, how's that going? So anyway, just curious about how that works out. Yeah. What that
Yeah,
experience
yeah, yeah,
is.
yeah. You said it very well. It's a different texture whenever I'm among my people, Black
Sure.
folks, and also Black people are the kings and queens of being chameleons because we've had
Sure.
to to adapt, whether it be out of comfort or also safety.
Yeah.
So I think that is something that's just has been for
Yeah.
me where it wasn't very normal. But then when I get into the spaces like you were describing, White Seattle being in a historically Black church, or when I was in North Carolina at this Black church for the first time, I was like, "Oh, this is nice. Let's bring some more of
Well,
this over to my life."
more of that.
Yeah, more of that,
Yeah,
please.
that would be great. Um, what keeps you coming back to a parish? Like, is it the music? Is the preaching? Is it the hospitality? What is it that?
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes, and to nearly all of
Hmm.
that. Um, the definitely the preaching. Definitely the preaching, because if it feels not of today, I have a hard time staying there because then it just feels like I'm doing it by rote, which
Mhm.
gets me back into the place where I'm like, why am I here?
Mhm.
Why am I just going for a Sunday obligation? It's supposed to be filling my soul.
Right.
So if the word is not penetrating me, and also, like I said before, and I keep saying this, I have 2 and 4 year olds. So it's also not penetrating me because I'm like
The
trying to
mute.
wrangle my kids. So there's like there's a
It's got
push
to
and
be
pull.
good to distract you.
Right, it's gotta be good to get their attention,
You're
shoot.
you're competing against that.
Right? And then, gosh, I love it when the choir is fantastic. I will say this is gonna sound really crazy, but I did go to a Black church where the choir was not good. I never thought that could ever exist, but I kept going because the preaching was good, you know? So I was like,
Yeah.
"Wow, how can I be in a place where everybody's off tune, but like the preaching, okay, that's what it is." And then as well, community, right?
Mhm.
Having a community, that hospitality portion
Yeah.
is important because if you're at a church and all of a sudden folks are like, "Oh, did you just get here?" No, I've been here for 8 years. Acting like they haven't seen you in forever. Yeah,
Mm-mm.
it's like, no, I don't want to be a part of that.
Yeah, I can see that if that's the live part of your faith practice, I know that you use podcasts and different kind of apps. And
Mhm.
how do you find the Catholic part of online stuff, or is it more built out in other Christian areas that is more useful?
Right, right. I don't look for the Catholic stuff. I
Hmm.
look for the Christian stuff. I look for Christianity, excuse me. I look for the spiritual portion of it.
Mm-hmm.
I look for the word within it. This again goes with my liberal views. I grew up, my mother used to say there's 10,000 ways to get to California. Which way do you choose? I have never been one who said that the only way you're getting to heaven is through Catholicism.
Hmm.
Or just religion in general. I just find that absolutely ridiculous for my world. I think it goes to I have chosen Christ. I have chosen Christianity to be my pathway
Hmm.
to be with the Lord in eternal salvation, and my pathway while we're on this earthly world of how to know how to live. And so I feel like Catholicism, just within Christianity, that's a part of the puzzle, but not my whole puzzle.
Hmm.
So I don't go seeking it, I would say, when I'm looking for materials. Uh, if it comes to me, like my spiritual accountability partner, I went through the book of Revelations, and Father Jack recommended a study guide, which people get a study guide because that was work.
Indeed.
That was work we did not know we were doing, but we're glad we did it. We're still very glad we did it. And that was something that was from a Catholic view. It definitely was. And even right now with Lent, we've been searching for something. And audio is a problem. There's not too many audio things out there, and also audio from our view. Like I said, we found two, but they were pro-life and pro-Trump. So that just doesn't fit within my world. So that was where we were also looking for something and it just kind of leaned towards Catholicism because we put such a beautiful focus on Lent
Mm.
with how we do Lent and honor those 40 days and 40 nights with Jesus Christ walking with him. But yeah, so I feel like it's truly like when it speaks to our soul, whatever the thing is that we find or a book that we read or whatever, that's what we lean towards.
Yeah. Has your positioning yourself within the Catholic Church changed now that you have kids because you think about what's it for them?
Yeah, because it's been interesting to try to explain who Jesus is to a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. That and I feel like I have to go through a whole new I have to go through my own education process.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been interesting to say, we're going to say this prayer. We'll say the Hail Mary. And then they say, well, why do we say that? And trying to figure out to the basic of basic spaces how to explain that to a 4-year-old and to a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
But also what's beautiful I found is that children, they follow exactly what you do, right? They follow what you do. So now they crave every night. I would say, okay, guys, let me pray over you. And their little voices, they go, let me pray over you. Let me pray over you. They come looking for me to pray over you. And it's the sweetest thing. And then we talk about at the end of it what we're thankful for the day. Usually it's like their lunch or a car.
Or a car.
Right, or a car, their trucks and such. But I did have one beautiful, beautiful moment because there was a Sunday I could not go to church. I was exhausted. And I said, guys, I'm so sorry. We're not going to make it to church. And I said, I think we're going to need to pray right here. And Denmark said, I got it. When I tell you my baby said a whole prayer, like a whole full prayer for everybody. He prayed for those experiencing homelessness. He prayed for those who were in need of homes, food. He prayed for all the things that we're grateful and thankful for. I was like, oh my gosh, you've been listening to me. These little sponges. I said, well, I don't need to say anything because you just prayed over me. So it has been, I have to tell you, it is delightful. It is a delightful challenge figuring out how to bring my children into the church. And also, again, I know over and over again, I'm liberal. So it's also me saying to you guys, this is how mommy practices, and I'm teaching you this. And there's going to come a day when you need to choose that this is what you want to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's been a beautiful challenge to do this with them.
Yeah. Because you're making a choice that people make obviously different choices about, not taking their kids to mass because it's a hassle,
Mm-hmm.
and they may go with them by themselves occasionally when they can find a sitter or leave the kids home with a spouse or whatever. But you're choosing to
Right.
you know what, I'm taking them with me.
They go with me and they go to Sunday school. Yes.
Yeah. What was
The-
that choice about? Rather than, because some people will say, well, I'm just going to not do anything and they can make up their mind when they're a teenager, which means they will choose nothing because, that's how we usually do, Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that's a large part of it. And this is probably a cultural thing. There's just no world in which my Trinidadian self is leaving my children at home on a Sunday when I'm going to church. Now, there is this, I will say this. My husband and I said that this has not been practiced, but it has been put forward because my husband's not religious at all, but he is an even better person in the world than me. And my husband said, or I said to my husband, I said, let's switch it off. So one Sunday I take them and then another Sunday you teach them so they can truly choose. Now, has this happened? This has not happened.
This is why we have churches, because people are busy. They can't pull it together and teach something on Sunday. They can show up.
This has not happened the way I thought it would. So they just come with me. And also it turns into a factor of we also said that we need breaks. Like we need everybody needs to be out the house. And as an adult, like you need time. So it turns out that Sunday morning's a good time for that for my husband. So there's a part of that too. And therefore then Denmark, the oldest, he gets to consistently go to Sunday school. And also they're consistently going to church. And also I think it's the same way where you got to kind of train them a bit. How do you train a 2 and 4-year-old to sit quietly for 30 minutes?
You got to do it.
So it's, yeah. So hence being so thankful for the infant and toddler room, because at least now I've gotten to them to the point where 15 to 20 minutes, they can sit quietly. And then we go in the back for about 20 minutes or so. And then we come back during the Eucharistic portion and through the end. And I find that they are getting the routine and understanding what's happening in the Mass. And then marry that with Sunday school, where they come home and then tell me like they actually know how to do the sign of the cross. They know some of the words of the Our Father. And I'm like, oh, all these things are being weaved together. So is it inconvenient and I don't get to hear the word the way that I want to? Of course, they're little kids, but I think this is a part of it. It's okay to be a little bit uncomfortable just so I'm allowing them to start to know the routine of what it's like to be at church, go to church. So there will come a point where they can sit through with ease.
Yeah. No, that's good to hear. How do you participate in your parish? You show up, and what are the other things that you feel that you want to do within a parish, or do you use it? How do you get involved?
Yes, definitely. And I have to say, I was very not involved for a long time. And Father Jack, you're just getting all the praises because you very much inspired me.
That's why you're on.
Pump them up. Right. Where's the yearly review?
Yep.
Everybody listen to the podcast?
Everybody. It can happen.
Right. So I was very uninvolved for the longest. And I think it came from my mom, who was extremely involved. And there was a point where she was like, "Ooh, girl, I need a break. I was doing all the Sunday school teachings and taking you guys. I need a break." And I remember when she took that significant break, and I was like, a break from like leadership, I should say. And that was also during my break from the church. So then coming back to the church, it was like a thing of just finding my space and being there, and then my busy schedule. But then it was when I really came back into the church and was involved with young adult ministry. That's one space I've always been involved throughout my entire life. With doing that and connecting anything I do with the church to just my personal life has been exceedingly fulfilling and a bit easier for me to give a yes to. My life is exceedingly busy. And like I said, again, champagne problems in the most blessed ways. So it's like, well, how can I chunk it and like combine some of the things that interest me also with the church? I have a very sensitive spot for those experiencing homelessness. So when I was with the young adult groups, I was doing this thing called Sunday suppers at the center. It's a beautiful, holistic space for those experiencing homelessness where they can sit and have coffee. They have book club. They could play games. They have a day just for women so women can feel safe. And then we had this thing, Sunday supper, once a month with Nancy Beta, where we would cook a meal. And it would be us from the young adult group and anybody else that volunteered and those who might be unhoused, and you would not know who was who. It was the most beautiful thing. It looked like the Last Supper. It felt like supper at your house. So that was something that I did. And that was because I was already working with CSH Speak Up, another program for those experiencing homelessness to advocate for more funding for supportive housing. So I was like, what a great segue into this. Then obviously when I had my children, I was like, we need something for these kids. So built the infant and toddler room. Then Black History Month came up this year. And I was like, I had written in my journal maybe a year ago wanting to start a Black ministry. And I said, I think God's telling me to start this right now. So I spoke to Father Paul and he was like, let's really build this thing out. And then as well, I'm an actor. So they're building out this creative media and ministry. So I was asked to be a part of that. So things have just kind of folded into spaces in my life that are already what I do. And yeah, so that's how I've involved myself in the church.
And how do you, as a younger adult, have you navigated the financially supporting the church?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. That has been a journey. And it was, I wish I had, is the book nearby? Is it going to look crazy if I grab the book and come back?
No.
Because I read book. Okay, I'm gonna grab the book and
Yeah.
come back. 1 second. All right, this is turning into an education piece, which is perfect. I was like, let me grab all my books.
Oh.
But the one that made me think about, I was like, let me just grab all of them just in
Yeah,
case.
sure.
My sister-in-law, we say sister-in-love instead of sister-in-law.
Nice.
My sister-in-love got me this book, The Four Spiritual Laws of Prosperity.
Hmm.
Now, like I had noted before, there's many other spaces that I tend to be in within Christianity. And I feel like outside of Catholicism, there's a big thing on tithing. But we don't really, I don't feel like we like hone in on tithing within the Catholic Church. So this book honed in on it for me,
Hmm.
just to understand it a
Hmm.
little bit.
Mhm.
I don't remember all of the principles and guides toward it, but I felt like it helped me build a practice of giving
Mhm.
more than I had in the past.
And what's the
It
author and the name of that book?
sure thing. Edwene Gaines. Edwene Gaines.
Okay.
Edwene.
Got it.
This book actually helped me build a better practice of giving to the church,
Mhm.
of looking at how much I'm making. Because, like you noted, as a young adult, when I was even younger as an adult, like you only have so much. So you're like, how am I going to be giving when I don't even have enough, feel like I don't have enough to give?
Mhm.
But there were some mindset things that I had to
Mhm.
change for myself when it came to what is abundance? What am I investing in? I know I'm giving money in these spaces. Where else can I give funds in spaces?
Mhm.
So I feel like this book truly unlocked something for me when it came to more of an abundance mindset. And also, I was in a space of being a go giver. I cannot claim that title, Career Activate can, but being a go giver of instead of being like, well, what can I get out of this? And being in a space of like lack, being in a space of abundance. And let me tell you, baby, I always had enough, if not more. It came out of nowhere when I really was. I don't practice it all like I did when I was doing it, but when I was doing it, I was amazed at
Yeah.
what rained down on me when I was giving more than I'd ever given.
Oh, that's great to hear because Catholic Church doesn't articulate it very well, and I think because we get very nervous, justifiably so, about prosperity gospel sort of stuff, which is a
Yeah.
kind of exchange or transactional. If I give to God, then I get the new car. You're just like, well, that's not. No, it's got to be more thought
Yeah.
through than that. But that's great.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard. And it's even hard for me to articulate right now because this was a moment 3 years ago when I read this
Yeah.
book. But there are value systems within here that I now hold within myself
Cool.
and then just kind of do naturally.
Mhm.
And it was, I think the big thing was like, I invest in my LA Fitness when I go to the gym. I invest in my career as an actor. How am I investing
Mm.
within the church?
Mhm.
Who's
Yeah.
giving me so much? Yeah, and then as well, how can I just be a giver?
Yeah.
Where is this money going toward? How is
Mhm.
it supporting different things? It was a blessing to do the 90% of the funding for the infant and toddler room, like it was a blessing to do that. It didn't I did not feel out in lack because
Yeah.
of giving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The reverse.
Mhm.
Yeah, everyone has a different path to it, and different things are going to strike you at different times in your life, and you think, oh yeah, that's the next piece that makes sense to me now. So yeah,
Yes.
very good. Walk me through how you do the pro-choice thing as a Catholic. There's different elements in there that people find themselves of like, this is who I am because of these reasons.
Mhm.
What are yours, and how does Catholicism maybe subtly support that, or is challenged by that?
Yeah. Ooh, this is a deep question. I don't think I've ever thought about it, or ever particularly articulated it. Being a pro-choice Catholic, one, I always thought it was only me, and then I just did a quick Google search and found tons of other people who felt the same way, loving the Catholic faith, but also being honest about where we are in times right now. So I would say I have more so lived in the space of being challenged, I think, more so in my views of pro-choice by the Catholic faith. There are scriptures that are pushed that way. The idea of life beginning at conception, uh, and what came down to it, which I've always and I find and where I finally felt confident and comfortable.
Hmm.
Just like I say it loud, I'm Black and I'm proud, say it loud, I'm pro-choice and I'm proud, was that my spirit never believed that the idea of pro-life was right. My spirit for me and my gut is the Holy Spirit speaking to me.
And
I think
pro life. How would you articulate that position that you're choosing not to be part of?
right. I would say in the world of overall that abortion is bad, that abortion should be banned, that
Mhm.
abortion is killing a human being.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you would
So
have questions about the concept that a life starts at conception.
I would that we have made that definition, yes.
Yeah.
That we have made that
Mhm.
definition where we are today. I think that's the biggest thing because I don't know personally, and maybe there are stories of it, of like the medical abortions, like being back in the past when we had the Bible. I don't know as well. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought. But I should say the thing that I do know is following the two greatest commandments: love thy God with all thy heart and treat thy neighbor as thyself. And so when it comes to pro life, me being pro choice and not being pro life, to my spirit and soul, whenever because I used to stand up in front of with picket signs, I was that person when I would say a teenager, like our young adult group would go and do that and such. And I did it kind of the same way I did it by rote of going to church because this is what I was told. But then it turned into, well, what do I truly believe in my
Mm,
core and my
mhm.
spirit? And when I pray about it or journal about it, and when I finally was like honest about it,
Okay.
I was like,
Yeah.
I don't believe in this concept. So yeah, I don't know. I have not been in an instance outside of like the Google search I did, realizing, oh, I'm not the only Catholic that believes this. I think I'm more so challenged by the church. And once again, why do I still come back to the church was one of the things that you said. You were like, we got to figure out how we have these two worlds living with one another on this earth.
Mm, mhm. Yeah, I think we do. Then that work is squarely before us. Um,
Hmm.
trying to, and I like that notion of being honest with yourself of like, what is it that I actually believe? How is that? Uh, uh, because it can shift and also can develop and it can grow and emerge. That people aren't set at 14 or 35 or 102. That we're not set. We're prone to more information coming in.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's good to
Yeah.
hear. What gives you hope about being like you remain in the church? What gives you hope about the church?
Oh gosh, what gives me hope? The youth gives me a lot of hope.
Hmm.
Seeing the young people that come in, and I mean, hey, I'm young to some, and like seeing but people that are younger than me choosing to be a part of a church, choosing to stand up and like support, whether it's in the music ministry, the Eucharistic ministry, just any of the ministries, right?
Hmm.
I am so impressed by that because who brought us into the church were our elders, but they are going to die one day.
Hmm.
Who is going to be the voice and hold up the church as we move forward? So I think that's like what gives me a lot of hope and excitement for the future of like, where is the church going with all of these youthful voices that we have
Yeah.
that are here and want to participate and want to learn more. There was a young group, I think they're married. I forget the two guys' names who did the Bible in a year. I forget their name.
Luke and Troy.
Yes, the two of them. Like it was just so encouraging for them to be like, I don't read the Bible. Like many Catholics don't read the Bible. Let's read the Bible together
Mhm.
and explore what this is. Like I find things like that just beautiful that folks are
Yeah.
taking the lead on doing that.
Are there Catholic people? They could be saints, but Catholic people, the Pope, leaders, unknown. I mean, in the Catholic world, who is it that inspires you?
Ooh, so many. My goodness. Definitely our current Pope. His humility, is just beautiful. And as well, there was a comment he made once, and that made me fall in love with him. He said, "We have an unhealthy obsession with homosexuality." And I was like, I agree.
Let's move
Why?
on.
That just made me fall in love with him completely. I have to also give it up to my patron saint, who this just it's going to bring me to tears. Once again, just divinity. I'm currently working on pushing my personal feature film to be made, and so as a Catholic, because if there's any non-Catholics listening, when you are confirmed, you choose a saint,
Mhm.
somebody that inspires you. You get to know them, and so my saint, Saint Therese of the Little Flower, that's who I chose when I was I 13? I was a kid. But she's come back around.
Mm.
As I was working on this feature film, I found out that the place where I was a shepherd of goat in France in the time of my life. And this is what this feature film is about. We're going to go back there to film this. And I was just trying to get to know the town. There's an itty bitty town called Lisieux. And I look it up, and that's where she's from. Her ashes are there, her home is there. I was like, St. Therese, you're still there? Girl, I was like, you chose me. I thought I chose you, but you chose me, you know? So what an inspiration to know that, like, I'm on the right path.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm,
Yeah. St. Trust loves you. It's just fantastic.
mhm.
Great. So, what would you tell a younger person about the church? Like, stay, go,
Mm.
packing it is a bad job. What?
I'd say come with me and please hang with my boys and I at the church.
Oh yeah.
I would say, please come with me. Please, or if you want to talk about it, like hit me up on social media and talk about it. Because I think just with any sort of church going, I'm in a lot of places where people don't go to church.
Mhm.
And then but I speak very plainly. I use words. I said, God did that. This is a blessing, divinely ordered. And some of this is like to say, hey, you need a little nudge. Hey, I see you. Hey, you want to come talk to me? We can, let me share my path that I'm on with you if it feels good for you. So I would say be open to God's call. If you are a praying person, be open to praying about it, taking some quiet time about it. I've gotten in this practice of being up very early, and it was because of this 90-day prayer challenge I was on.
Mhm.
So we were reading these like long devotionals, and then it included I hope I'm saying it right. Salah. Is it Selah or Selah? Salah when you sit in silence and just be.
Oh,
Selah.
I'm not sure. I don't know if I know that word. Yeah.
Oh, no?
No,
Look it up, it's
I will.
beautiful. I've now found 2 children who were named after it.
Oh,
Some people say Selah, others say Salah. I don't know which one's right
okay.
because yeah, but it's within Christianity, but it's just sitting with Christ.
Mhm.
So sitting in the quiet space and just receiving and seeing what path needs to be taken. I think as a young person and who is learning about themselves, searching for themselves, has a lot of noise of people telling you who you are.
Mm.
I feel like having the chance to light a candle and just be quiet and listen and breathe. Some people call it meditation. I call it my time with God. And I think if young people practice that as well, they might also find their path. It's beautiful if they find their path to Catholicism. Come on. Like I said, come sit with my babies. But it's also beautiful if you just start to find your path to spirituality
Mm.
and knowing that there is a higher power that is supporting us, loving us, and teaching us how to be on this
Yeah. Put you in that pulpit. Yeah.
earth. Look, I'm trying to get women up there.
Bit at a time. Great. Thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with
Mhm.
me about this.
Thank
I
you.
really,
Thank you.
really appreciate it. And
Thank
just
you.
so,
Thank you for always being open to me because
yeah.
I'm me and I'm with it. And it's very against much of what our church has traditionally believed in, but I still believe in the church and in the traditions that we are building moving forward.
Yeah. And we have to find our way to each other all the time. over and over again. Thank you so much for listening to Catholics in Ordinary Time. If you like what you're hearing, please consider subscribing so you don't miss anything in the rest of the season. Also, please recommend this to friends and family. And if you're feeling up to it, please leave us a review. That makes all the difference. Again, thanks so much for listening.